those that enjoy this journey of personal development and individual impact, meaning they're growing as leaders in terms of how they operate themselves and how they then translates to those around them, it really has an incredible reflection. So that when their teeth get kicked in, deals fall through, revenue's down, hard months, marketing channels don't work, whatever it is, just their emotional acumen and their ability to navigate that. It stems from the work they're putting in, to have a high level of emotional maturity.
Welcome back to the Profit First REI podcast. I have special guest Mark Stubler on today. I'm excited about this because I've met Mark several times over the years, and he's a part of a franchising company for real estate investors, which I love because usually if you're going into a franchise, like you're not just worried about getting the deals in the door, you're also worried about keeping the money and that you're building a real business. So Mark, thanks for being on today and being a guest.
Oh, are you kidding? It's my pleasure. Thank you, David. It's fun to have this conversation, and hopefully your listeners will enjoy our visit today. I'm glad to hang out with you here.
So what drove you? Because there's so many things, right, in the real estate space that you could go down. You could become a real estate investor. You could go down and try and build different exit strategies and build portfolios or go into. You chose the franchise world. What drove you to that side of real estate? Because I talked to a lot of other people that are like trenches and all that, but I love where you've landed. So talk about that journey or what drove you to it.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment or something.
Okay, that's there we go. I like that.
I have to tell you, there's not a lot of us out there. There's not a lot of real estate investors that have franchised the model, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I love franchising, and hopefully this just inspires your business, friends listening. Yeah, I just love the model where you're not using your own capital to expand. You're leveraging somebody else's talents. That's a partner, essentially, that partner type relationship. So their success, your joint success, is where the franchisor becomes successful. Meaning, in order for me to experience results, my franchisees, my partners, have to be successful in their markets. So, and it's just the best way in my mind to expand at a fast pace, leveraging the talents and resources of others and providing our talents and resources. So I just love that synergy of sorts. So that model just attracted me through a mentor, and we said, hey, it hasn't been easy. And when new franchise models have popped up in our world of real estate, I embrace it because I'm just like, I love it because I want to know what I can learn from them, because it is a challenge, because our franchisees come in and they want, the playbook, and they have high expectations, as they should. But it's been a really healthy challenge to grow as a CEO and to develop those things.
Okay. So it seems like you're up for the challenge and you're up for a challenge, and then you're out there helping real estate investors solve, I believe, one of the core issues of most businesses, right? It's like, what would you say that a franchise helps to solve where a real estate investor might have trouble doing it on their own?
Yeah, so a lot of it is just creating a predictable, reoccurring model of what they're doing, right? And some of it is just the disciplines, the executions that as an investor, if you're just good at sales and you learn the industry, you can go out there and kind of fake your way through it, and you can actually disguise your problems, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You have a little bit of cash in the bank. You just kind of put your head down and you're good with people. Before you know it, you've got revenue coming in. But you've just put yourself in a situation where it's a high-paying job, where you're wearing all the hats, and you might make some strategic hires and put yourself in a better position that way. But our franchise model, and franchising in general done right, allows you to systemize it, leveraging a playbook that actually creates an actual business behind it. The aspect of things you'll really appreciate is all things finance, right? Making sure that like cash reserves and a strategy for, and understanding your cash conversion cycles, and putting yourself in a position of how much money do I actually have to put into marketing, and what other things do I need to plan on for allocating for growth and operational and personnel costs. So it's just providing that playbook for somebody that may have those God-given sales and ambitious type characteristics and traits that are invaluable, because I can't coach energy and effort. So take that energy and effort, and at some point they hit a ceiling in their business or plateau, and it's breaking through that, and it's scaling, leveraging systems, people, processes, and just optimizing your efforts.
I like that. So sounds like if they bring the energy, the effort, some of the things that are baked into your franchise model is that discipline, that accountability, also the things that really matter in making it a business, which obviously you already said it was music to my ears. All things finance, having cash reserves, knowing the cycles of cash, when it's coming in, when it's going out, what can I put where and when, and really building. It sounds like you're helping them build a sustainable business, but also coaching them along this journey too. Because I'm sure as you've worked with people, they've started to get more deals and then they've started to hire people. So then it's like
That's
that's a
right.
different level because, like, first they're just leading themselves and they might need your systems, but then they're leading other people. So, do you want to talk about that, like how you help people that are going from a solopreneur to more of the business owner entrepreneur? Like, what's that journey look for people, and how you support them on that part?
Well, I hope that somebody that goes through that journey enjoys it as much as I do, because that's where your weaknesses are exposed. Meaning, if you're a B leader, the way you run your life, how disciplined you are, you're going to attract B talent. If you're a C leader or a D leader, even worse. Uh, and so it's identifying, like, who am I attracting? What type of people are attracted to my vision? And am I even clearly articulating my vision so that people that are high powered output, team members or even partners or whatever, want to be part of my cause, my effort? And so I love this journey of becoming a more refined leader, and that includes starting with myself. How am I leading myself? What are my daily disciplines? How am I executing? How am I showing up as in my case, a husband, a father? And then how's that translating to, the type of people that I'm going to attract? The OG in my mind, well, there's a couple OGs. I have to be careful because I'm a massive fan of Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Um, leadership, teaching leadership principles, and then John Maxwell has written 80, I think, some odd leadership books. I've maybe only read a handful, but man, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Take the assessment at the end of that book, then read the book, be mindful of it, and take the assessment later on. That will alter your perspective on what type of leader you are, and how you handle obstacles. And dude, I could go on leadership for days. Another one, and I won't go into this unless you trigger another question, but Kirk Cignetti from Hoosier, Indiana college football. I'm a huge college football fan. What he's done in 2 years at turning around maybe one of the worst Power Four conference teams is absolutely astounding. And it's nothing short of his leadership. And so that's an example that, even if you're not a college football fan, go and watch his journey. Go plug into some YouTube videos created around him. Leadership makes that big of a difference. If you want better results in your business, become a better leader, because you'll start to attract different people. You'll start to think different. You'll start to make different decisions. It's a beautiful thing. I love that process of becoming a better leader.
Would you say that leadership, in your opinion, especially for the people you work with in the Joe Homebuyer franchise, is that the thing that separates out the ones that go farther and might stay longer and might be able to grow to where they want to be versus the ones that don't? Or is there other key components? Or would you say, no, this is the one and everything falls into place after that?
Yeah, I really do believe it falls into place. Everything falls into place after that.
Okay.
Um, Now, some of you know very financially successful, and notice the key there, financially successful. Very wealthy people
Right.
that are not appearing to be great leaders, or they're complete slobs with their health or their relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
They're movie stars, whatever. That sort of thing happens. But look at it from a little bit different lens. I'm talking financially. I'm also talking impact. I believe that a more holistic leader, that it really does start and stop there. And yes, as I speak of our franchise partners throughout the country, those that enjoy this journey of personal development and individual impact, meaning they're growing as leaders in terms of how they operate themselves and how that then translates to those around them, it really has an incredible reflection. So that when their teeth get kicked in, deals fall through, revenue's down, hard months, marketing channels don't work, whatever it is, just their emotional acumen and their ability to navigate that. It stems from the work they're putting in, to have a high level of emotional maturity, the work they're putting into getting inspired when maybe others could dwell on the news and the interest rates or the struggles of the industry. They're focusing their energy on being inspired and uplifted. So I know for some that's going to sound a little bit foo-foo-y, like, oh, that sounds warm and fuzzy, that's cute. But it really does. Because then when you're providing yourself that type of clarity, then you can be super intentional about your output. I mean, I'll share an example in my own home. So I have a son and 3 daughters, and I'm talking my impact in my home is obviously, has to be intentional. Because if I'm just trying to build a business, and I want Joe Homebuyer to have massive impact. We want to create world-class leaders all throughout the country that are market leaders in each of the markets that they're in. We want our franchisees to be known as the top dogs, but they get there because through this journey of becoming world-class leaders. Well, in my own home, if I'm not, mindful of my relationships, or if I'm not mindful of relationships with my kids and intentional about that, then, let me put it in priority, and I'll come back to the specific example. I was in a training, and this was in a context of a church leadership training. But the invitation was, if you want to become the best version of yourself and to become closer to Christ, that these are the priorities. First, to yourself. You need to make sure you're working on yourself. Second, to your spouse. Third, to your kids. Fourth, your business. And fifth would be like your community responsibilities. And if you think about it, they stack on each other nicely, in the sense that if I'm showing up for myself, I'm working out, I'm getting myself mentally and emotionally strengthened, then I can be a better companion to my spouse. If that's then true, we can both provide more for our kids, right? We can show up that way. And then if those things are in order, guess what? Business is, I may actually not be in balance, meaning I might spend most of my waking hours at my office. So I didn't say anything about balance, but I said about impact and where my priorities are. So a couple years ago, I was able to go on a 17-day, and I'm not sharing this to grandize anything I've done special, but because I realized I wanted to have meaningful relationships with my teenagers, a couple years ago, I was able on a humanitarian trip with my son, and then that was such a good experience. I was able to go with my 18-year-old daughter, at the time she was 17, to Cambodia for 17 days, a complete digital detox for her. She didn't have her phone. So here I had my 17-year-old daughter in Cambodia for 17 days with no phone, serving people, having spiritual, because there was a spiritual element to this retreat, as well as there was service oriented and all these things. But that became as a result of me saying, all right, who do I want to be? What impact do I want to have? What are my priorities? And sure, for those 17 days, I was only with my 17-year-old daughter. Nothing was getting done in business. And so you're not going to be in balance, but your impact is going to be intentional because of you're being clear as a leader as to what you want that impact to be. And so grateful to share that example, because I've got lots of areas to improve. But that's one example where I felt like I had clarity, I was able to execute, and I was able to create a once in a lifetime experience with her, and that becomes a foundational memory that I'm able to build upon with her. But it didn't come accidentally, if that makes sense. It took planning and effort. And that's what I mean by leadership. It's holistic.
All right. I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike Michalowicz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. Yeah. And it sounds like when someone becomes or comes into your circle, the Joe Homebuyer franchise, that real estate is really the widget and you're helping them become the best version of themselves. And that's really what you want. When you said, I want the best market leaders, and it's not necessarily just in real estate, but like the best leaders in the market, whether they're in real estate or if they branch out or do whatever, you're really training people on how to be the best versions of themselves. Would that be a good, like the things that I'm picking up on what you're teaching?
I'm grateful. I actually really love, David, that you cued into that. Our internal purpose, like if you ask our corporate team at Joe Homebuyer Franchise, you'd ask them, hey, what's your purpose? It's not to become the nation's largest home buyer. It's not to become to help more families, although those are both, great initiatives or
Yeah.
purposes. Ours is to create world-class leaders,
Hmm.
because the byproduct of helping them flourish individually and have impact in all these areas of their life is one of the byproducts is they're doing well in their home and their family and there's that situation, but they're also going to be successful in real estate. They're going to have they're going to have successful results because they're
Yeah.
going to hire the right people, get the right impact. And then we just realized, so that came as a result of realizing that's where we get our energy, is by seeing a franchisee join the tribe, and then they're sharing with the group how they've increased their habits around health,
Yeah.
or their habits have changed around time with their family. And then obviously you start to see their business grow and how they start to work in tandem. That doesn't come without obstacles or issues or all that happens, but again, then their ability to navigate and triumph over and all those things. So yes, believe it or not, our internal purpose is, as we talk about the core, when we sell franchise or partner with anybody, we will only work with somebody that is already demonstrating that they're on that path and they want to continue to grow and scale. If they're just so ambitious and they're just putting their head down, but they don't really have a desire or that humility to continually grow, um, we'll provide whatever value we can, but that's not going to be a future partner of Joe
Yeah.
Homebuyer.
That makes sense. So when someone comes in, it sounds like they will learn real estate and they'll learn the systems, but everything is woven through and looking through the lens of how is this helping me become a better leader? How is this helping me get to where I really want to be and who I really can become? So is that true too? Like in all the training and all the things that you're teaching them, it sounds like it's baked in.
Yeah, because it's just standards. Here's
Yeah.
a real life example in real estate. So it's just helping each of our franchise realize that it's more just habits and standards that they need to consistently execute on to get results. And
Okay.
so something as mundane and simple as like going on appointments. You can get to the point where you're having, you have a small team, big team, whatever, and leads are coming in and you're setting appointments. It's tracking the right numbers and that sort of thing. But then it's like, okay, but what about the subjectivity type stuff? Well, what do I do in this case? What do I do in this case?
Yeah.
So then it's just helping them realize, okay, here's the standards that we're going to operate by. And we're just going to create this universally. You're going to show up as a leader and you're going to hold your team accountable to this standard. And whatever that standard is, if it's something as simple as appointments attended, which is a major indication of how much success you're having in your business, is how many homes
Yeah.
you're getting in. It's okay. What's our standard that we're going to operate by? Well, if they have equity and they're asking us for an offer, you go out 100 out of 100 times. Well, but the subjectivity part comes in. Well, what if they're saying that they want full retail? Or what if they're saying they're not selling for 6 months? Or what if they're saying this, that, or the other? It's easy to get kind of swayed by the subjectivity and something that your acquisition manager is saying, or how busy life gets or whatever. And it's like, hold on, we've already established a standard. This is just how we operate and we hold ourselves accountable to it. So part of leadership is providing accountability to yourself and to your team. And so then it's okay, no guys, we've already made the decision on this. There is no decision. If they have equity and they're asking for an offer, we're going to show up, right? Now that may not get prioritized at the same as one that says, hey, I just inherited this home, I need to get it sold by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But you're going to show up and you're going to provide value, and the standard is how you operate. And so, yes, when we provide training, it's not just, you bring the energy and effort. We'll provide the leadership framework and the skills necessary to then go out and enhance everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's all interwoven.
Yeah, because so many trainings focus on the how to, and it sounds like you're focused on the who you are. You're a person who holds themselves to habits, who holds themselves to standards. That way they can make faster decisions because you're teaching them to be real business owners. And at the end of the day, a real business owner knows these things, knows what KPIs, knows all that, knows that they should be holding them accountable to the team accountable, and gives them a system, so that way the system is helping them hold accountable. But that's what an owner does. And that sounds really what you're teaching people. It's like how to be a good owner, a good leader from that perspective. And then, yes, you give the how to, but the how to is more based around, okay, what does a successful owner do? And what does a successful leader in real estate do? Because then if you're passing that on, then they can take like the same principles would then apply right to their home life. Correct? It's like if I take, okay, I don't have any habits or standards at home. It's like, oh, then, well, what I'm learning here, I can take home there. Do you see that as well too, or like how it correlates?
It sure does. Yeah, and I love it. Said another way is you are not just the CEO of your business, you're the CEO of your life.
Ooh, I
And
like that.
you really do have, you're right, you have more influence over the outcomes in both these areas than you think, right? And we all, life has an interesting way of, and particularly the entrepreneurial path has an interesting way of sending you the unexpected and
Yeah.
expecting you to learn through. I mean, there's a quote out there that essentially is saying, you want the fast track in personal development. It's entrepreneurship of sorts. Basically, there's nothing, the epitome of entrepreneurship is personal development. Everything it requires of you is putting you through the gauntlet of developing, right? This personal development, this growth, leadership, so long as you embrace it. Patrick Lencioni has several books, and if I were to summarize one takeaway I had as I digested some of the things he had written, it was this idea that, like, yeah, you're the CEO, and this is now interpreted to Mark Stubler type language, but it's like, yeah, you're the CEO. Like, you can either be weighed down, or you could actually embrace and actually be almost encouraged by the fact that, yeah, this challenge is mine because I signed up for this.
Hmm.
This is what I'm asking for. This is almost embrace
Yeah.
the challenge or as an opportunity for growth. We have an annual conference every year, and we have a dear friend that was going to come present, that is an absolute icon in terms of just his business or his influence in business and his own family. It really epitomizes everything I'm talking about from a leadership perspective. He's been a mentor of mine, and really, we found out today that here we are, less than 2 months from our annual conference. Actually, it's about a month, 6 weeks away from our annual conference, and we just found out that he had as a major health scare,
Mm.
and he's not even going to be able to join us. And it's like, I mean, this is obviously that's more important than our conference, different things, and we love this guy, and he's going to be okay, and it's going to work out. But I'm sharing this, David, to say that is like that this is going to be a really challenging thing to navigate for me as the CEO and for our team to come up with an alternative that's going to be as impactful. And the obstacle is the way. We've heard that from Ryan the holiday. We're going to have to navigate this, and it's going to make us better. We're going to learn something from this, and how we handle it's going to have an impact. How we use our brain power, it all translates. And then how we manage all these things then will show up on, so long as we're mindful of it,
Yeah.
on what type of husbands and fathers. And I have to be careful because I talk about these things as if I understand them at such a perfect level. No. I keep on committing to them by virtue of being on your podcast, David, because I'm not perfect. I'm not balanced. I don't always show up at home and I'm totally present. And I don't always treat the 5 priorities in the order that they should be. I'm guilty. But I can tell you that I have absolute clarity that they are, in fact, the most important priorities. That making sure I'm in a good place mentally and emotionally allows me to be a better husband. And when I'm a better husband, we're able to be better parents and be aligned in those efforts. And so then with that clarity, then it's just, okay, whenever I get off that, if I'm out of adjustment or not aligned, it just, I can be accountable. I can work with my mentors to get realigned, but that clarity allows me to be intentional so I can recalibrate and get back on track. because that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
You have these major obstacles. For us, this is a pretty major obstacle to find out that our keynote speaker is no longer available and we're up against the deadline. We're going to navigate it. But you have the daily mundane type obstacles too that you have to get good at managing. And as good as you get at those things will be a direct indication as to where you put your focus, your time, and your energy will be a direct reflection of your output and the success of your family and the success of your business. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. And what I heard there is that you really practice what you preach, that you're really on the journey with them. And you're just saying, here, follow us because we are committed to this and we're committed to building world class leaders and we want to be world class leaders. So we're not always going to do the right thing. We're going to stumble. We're going to make mistakes, but we get back on the horse and we know that there's going to be
That's right.
obstacles in the way and we're going to go through them. And so that you're just showing everyone that's in that sphere that, hey, things happen here and we're going to go through them and then you can do it as well too. So I think that was really authentic. I really like that and that you shared that example and that you're working through just some things behind the scenes because that's where a lot of people just they want to follow that, they want that, and they need to be able to have a system that says, okay, how do I get back on that horse? Who do I have to be in order to get through these obstacles and what do I need to be thinking? I also heard there as just a tangent that you're also helping people learn how to think, like just about life in general and about the obstacles and like reframing things where most people would be like, oh my gosh, like, and like just go off or like go into this funk or whatever it might be. And you're teaching, okay, how can we think of this differently? The obstacle is the way. Like, okay, what can we learn from this? What can we take from it? So that was pretty awesome. So I loved hearing that. But going down to the last couple minutes here, Mark, is there any other thing that you say, I got to get this out there, or any other advice that you'd want to give to the entrepreneur real estate community?
No, I appreciate it. Um, this word discipline is one that is really fascinating me lately. There's a suggestion out there that discipline has some origin to disciple, and that's maybe a whole different path to go down. But I think part of leadership is being a disciple, and specifically a disciple of Christ. I think that as you get aligned with your supreme being, your creator, and you are spreading goodness. And as a leader, you're inspiring people, you're bringing out the best in them. What I mean by that is great leaders create more great leaders. And who's the ultimate leader? And in my experience, it's Jesus Christ. And so if that's true, I think we have a unique opportunity. So when we're actually disciplining ourselves to become better, in a lot of ways, that's who we're becoming like, and that's the impact we're going to have. Now, some don't maybe relate to the Savior, Jesus Christ, as a supreme being, and that's okay. But maybe study his life from a perspective of his character traits and who he is. For me, I hopefully I've demonstrated my feeling that way. But I love that challenge, and I'm grateful that I feel that that drive to incorporate his characteristics and that drive to have that impact, because discipline, essentially, here's a quote that I like that I think will relate to everybody, is this idea that discipline is really just the bridge between thought and accomplishment. Because we all have these great ideas and we all have these intentions. And we have these thoughts. We get motivated at times. We get inspired. But then to actually accomplish them, the bridge there is being disciplined and learning and executing at a consistent basis to act on the things that we know we need to act on. So you're getting inspired today, hopefully, as you listen to this, and anyone listening to this and anything else that's inspiring. I know that David has incredible influence. If you're listening to this, you've heard from a lot of his guests. He brings on great individuals. Are you taking action? Are you listening, but are you also taking action? Are you closing the gap between listening or learning and acting type thing? And so that's where the discipline, the bridge between thought and accomplishment. And so I'm just grateful for that word, because I think it has a deeper meaning and it has a very granular, like, okay, what am I doing to take action? So hopefully that's another way to, I don't know, last thought to leave with you.
No, I love that. Yes. And especially if you want to follow, I believe as well, too, the ultimate leader and really learning from someone who said, follow me, and people listen and they didn't even know he was the son of God yet. And it's like, okay, what was he doing? Where was that vision? How did he get
It's
people
so
to,
beautiful.
to be able to follow him? So I think that's a great one to end on, and the discipline. And it's like, we hear that word and it's like, really, who are you a disciple of? What are you following? I think that this is amazing what you've built, because you're not trying to create followers of great real estate investors. You are building world-class leaders. So I love that that's that mission. And okay, so now we've talked about this. I want them to be able to take action. So how would they get in touch if they're interested in seeing like, hey, I am a world-class leader, or I want to be a world-class leader? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you, David. So check out us on social media. Follow us. Start to fill our culture and participate that way. Love to connect with you there. You can also find us at joehomebuyerfranchising.com. And for those of you, there you go, throwing it up on the screen there. For those of you that there's actually resources on our website where you can we've got 5 steps of negotiation, which is great for the acquisition efforts. We've got essential metrics you need to track in your business. So for those of you that have existing operations, really encourage you to go to the resource pages on joehomebuyerfranchising.com and leverage the free resources in your business.
Awesome.
Hopefully you'll find those very, very helpful.
So joehomebuyerfranchising.com. And then I'm assuming on all the socials and stuff, it's Joe Homebuyer, looking up all of that as well too.
Yeah.
So that's where you can follow them. That's where you can go and get more info. He's also got some, it sounds like, free downloads to be able to go out there and just get started and get to see how they do things behind the scenes. But then honestly, to recap this whole thing, we could just say a couple words here. It's that world-class leadership. Like, if you want to become a world-class leader, if you want to be trained by people who are committed to this process, who are authentic, who will go out there and help you get to where you want to be as a human, not just as a real estate investor, then go to joehomebuyerfranchising.com and go with them and look at all their stuff and then move forward. And that I would love for you to be able to at least get a part of their world because of what they're doing and how they're helping the real estate industry, because they're taking it up to a whole nother level by going deep with each person. So Mark, this has been awesome.
Thank you.
I want to end with just one other thing too. If you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, this sounds great, but I am just dying in my in my tea here, because there's I just have so many expenses. I have no idea where my money's going. You can always go to simplecfo.com. That's where we help you make sure that if you're like, I wish I could do this, I wish I could go with Joe Homebuyer Franchising, but your expenses are eating you up, or you have no idea how you're going to keep the money. That's where we can help you at least get some systems in place, make sure you're keeping more of the money so you can follow good people like this and then say, hey, do you want to be a franchisee? And then you don't have to worry about if you're putting food on your table or not. So that's where you could go to simplecfo.com if you need that. And then remember, go to joehomebuyerfranchising.com if you're ready to at least take that step and see, okay, what do they have to offer? I want to be a world-class leader. Again, Mark, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom today.
Thank you, brother. No, man, it's a blessing. Thank you, David.
Thank you. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.